Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Lego film called the Lego Ninjago movie. And this is the third feature length Lego movie we've got in the theater over the course of the last couple of years. First we started off with the Lego movie from Phil Lord and Chris Miller, started the whole Lego franchise, huge hit. I personally love that movie. Very creative, very fun. They managed to get other DC properties and other forms of copyright properties into that movie legally. They got the permission from those companies, like they had The Simpsons in it and so forth. Then we got the Lego Batman movie, which I also was a huge fan of. Very fun movie, very much pokes fun at Batman in the right way. I love the use of the characters that I'm familiar with from the Batman stories and so forth. And now we're here. This is the third Lego movie called the Lego Ninjago movie. And in this film, you guys, it's about a young ninja named Lloyd. And he's a part of a ninja task force team that's in charge of protecting the city of Ninjago. And they're kind of like the Power Rangers in the sense that they're ninjas. They have their own special powers. They have these giant mechanical beast creature things that can all combine into one and form like a giant Zord, kind of like in Power Rangers a little bit. Um, so things are going great. This character named Lloyd is one of the ninjas in this team. He's not a very specific ninja, though. All the other ninjas have a specific power. Like one is fire, one's water, one's ice, another one's lightning. But Lloyd, unfortunately, is the green ninja. And unfortunately, because he is the green ninja and not assigned to a specific thing, it's not very clear as to what kind of power he has. But anyway, it's important that the city of Ninjago has this ninja team because there's always this evil general that's called Garmadon, who happens to be Lloyd's father, who's always attacking the city, always trying to ruin it, always trying to conquer it. So it's always important that this ninja team's always ready to go to stop Garmadon from making sure that he doesn't take over Ninjago. But one day, Lloyd's kind of had enough with Garmadon. He finds out through his master, Master Wu is his name, and he's voiced by Jackie Chan. He finds out through Master Wu that there's something called the ultimate weapon, and Master Wu keeps warning Lloyd not to use this weapon just because not only is it dangerous to Garmadon, it's dangerous to the city of Ninjago. So even though it could potentially stop Garmadon for good, he's forewarned plenty of times not to use this weapon. So anyway, it gets to the point where Garmadon's next weapon and his next plan of conquering the city gets worse and worse. It's just really bad, almost unstoppable for the ninjas. So Lloyd basically gets desperate and gets a hold of the ultimate weapon, and it backfires. It's definitely not the result he was hoping for. It kind of crumples the ninja team for a little bit, for a little while in the movie, and they're not able to use those mechanical monsters that they once had. So as a result, Lloyd finds out about something called the ultimate weapon, and they have to go through a journey in the jungle to order to find that. And it's kind of a race against the clock throughout the rest of the movie. Garmadon's at their side. He's, if they don't stop him, he could potentially conquer Ninjago for good. And Lloyd and him never really had a good father-son relationship, so there's that going on throughout the movie. So there's a lot going on in Lego Ninjago, and it's up to Lloyd and his ninja team to get the ultimate weapon before Garmadon conquers the city of Ninjago for good. So overall, I enjoyed the Lego Ninjago movie, you guys. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a great movie. I don't think it's the better Lego movie we've had yet. I certainly think the Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie are just better films in general. But this is a good film. I wasn't disappointed in this movie, I would say. I just didn't enjoy this film as much as those previous two Lego films that we happened to got earlier. So for my positives and negatives of this film, I like the use of practical Legos. I like how the film kind of has this real look to it, how like if you were to go over to somebody's house and they were building little Lego sets, it really would look like little Lego beasts and little Lego characters, little Lego cities. They really have this feeling of you're going over to somebody's house and seeing these little ninja sets of Legos that they have going on, of all these little characters and mechanics and all the stuff going on in the city. So I like that look that this film maintains to have over the course of the film. There's also a ton of live action segments in this movie, and that's really cool because the first Lego movie had this. And I don't want to spoil it for those who never saw that first Lego movie, but the way that they go about live action segments in that is really neat. It's kind of a different way to approach a animated film and specifically a Lego movie that nobody really would have ever thought of before. So thankfully, Lego Ninjago kind of learned from its predecessor and learned that live action segments aren't always a bad thing, you know, that you can kind of improve upon your movie, you can kind of add something to your story this way. And without spoiling it, I really like how they managed to incorporate live action segments without it feeling too weird or too out of place. It really does fit in with the story that they went with. And even while the film is animated and a lot of these scenes are animated, there are a couple little hints of live action segments every once in a while, which once again I can't spoil. But when they do happen, I think they're really cool, and it's kind of an interesting way to approach an animated film that I really never thought of before. I also like the film's messages on fatherhood and single parenting. This definitely goes for the Garmadon character, you know, Lloyd's father and the villain of the movie. This also goes for Lloyd's mother, who's voiced by Olivia Munn in this movie. Definitely a lot of messages on single parenting and fatherhood and how it's important for a father and son to kind of learn from each other and to bond with each other, how it's important that the father teaches the son how to throw a baseball or throw a football or, you know, how to drive a car and so forth. So there's all these messages throughout this movie that I think are really effective over the course of the Lego Ninjago movie. And then it goes on to my next part, speaking of Garmadon. I really like this whole Garmadon villain that this film had. It's really kind of a cool way to take on a villain. It's a villain where you kind of, you know, obviously they tell it in the movie and I won't spoil it here, but there is a scene where Garmadon kind of goes over with Lloyd, kind of why he is the way he is, kind of how him and Lloyd kind of have this uneasy, never really were father and son kind of a connection. And the film definitely explains why the two of them are like that. But I also liked how the Garmadon villain was kind of the funnier character of the movie. He was definitely in the vein of something I saw in the Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie, kind of in that same vein, in that same sense of humor. Something that a lot of the characters I thought in this film weren't as top-notch as far as humor goes. I thought the character of Garmadon, voiced by Justin Theroux, really kind of carried on that whole Lego movie, Lego Batman movie kind of humor. And I really liked his character in general overall as well. I also like how this film has an adventure element. I really like it when they go into this jungle and find this ultimate weapon. There really is kind of this Indiana Jones meets Jumanji kind of a feel to it. So I like this whole adventure element that the film introduces when they're looking for the ultimate weapon. I also like how this film kind of has a childish quality to it in a good way. You know, childish qualities in film could kind of be a negative thing but in this case, I definitely see it as a positive thing, and the reason why I say that is in the scenes where, like, you see those little Lego mechanical monsters kind of fighting each other, or it's that monster, you know, versus the villain of the movie and whatever mechanical suit he has and so forth. I really like how we got the feeling that, you know, it's one child or two kids or two friends in a room somewhere kind of playing with Legos, kind of being friends, and doing things that, you know, Legos are supposed to be, you know why Legos are made. You know, Legos were made for toys at first. I like how this childish quality that this film has of, you know, being playful and kind of letting these suits and these characters and these monsters fight each other throughout the movie. Because I definitely think that's how a lot of kids play with these Legos, that they have little fights and little battles and little arguments with each other. Something that I think real Legos in real life kind of stand for. I also like the Ninjago setting in this movie. I like this whole ancient Japan, ancient China kind of feel to it. Kind of the whole thing that you could believe that samurais and ninjas and dragons could live in this place. I like the whole Ninjago set that they use in this movie. It was really cool to see. Now for my negatives of the Lego Ninjago movie, there are a lot of jokes that fall under flat humor. Really a lot of flat jokes in these movies that really kind of aren't very funny. Definitely not a film where I laughed out loud very much. So there's definitely some funny little moments and funny little lines every once in a while, but overall most of the jokes in this film I thought fell flat for me, so I really wasn't a huge fan of the humor in this movie. Also, a lot of the side characters are very underdeveloped in this film. The Lloyd's ninja team in particular I thought really suffered from this. I really never got to know these characters. I really never got to learn about these ninja friends that Lloyd had. And because they're already this team at the beginning of the movie, that really doesn't give the viewer a lot of time to get to know all these ninjas that Lloyd works with. So as a result, I was watching Lloyd kind of interacting with these characters throughout this movie, but I never really got a chance to know them. And unfortunately, the script never allows us to get a chance to know these friends and ninjas that Lloyd interacts with throughout the movie. I also didn't like how the film kind of switches tone halfway through the story. The second they go into this jungle to look for this ultimate weapon, the film kind of does have a different tone by them, and I think that's really going to turn a lot of people off. So for those who really like that whole Lego Ninjago mechanical monsters fighting each other thing, the film kind of completely switches tone in the second half of the movie. It becomes more so a jungle adventure film. I personally liked the change, but I could see how this could really frustrate other viewers. I also thought the story wrap up was very weak. It definitely felt very rushed, very explained to me rather than showing me exactly what happened to Lloyd and what happened to Garmadon and so forth. They definitely explain it to you, and I don't know if that's the right way to do it ending, is to just explain to the viewer over the course of 2 minutes what happened to characters. I think that's kind of boring and lazy. I also thought the film was very formulaic and predictable. Any scene where I was trying to predict what was going to happen next did happen. I definitely feel this film suffers also from copying from the Lego movie format too much of, being the chosen one, looking for a specific thing. The characters learning from their mistakes, learning how to conquer and destroy the villain and so forth. It just felt very formulaic and predictable after a while. I also thought a lot of the film's ideas kind of just stole from Power Rangers. It'd be cool if they kind of borrow little hints of Power Rangers, and I said to myself, oh, that reminds me of Power Rangers. But while I was watching this movie, it's like, they stole this from Power Rangers. So rather than just stealing the idea of Power Rangers, I thought they could have just borrowed elements of it and gone their own direction. I really felt like they just kind of took what worked with Power Rangers with kids, took it and put it into this Lego movie. But overall, I'm going to give a rating of. I'm going to give a rating to this movie. Let's just put it that to the Lego Ninjago movie, and my rating for this movie is 8 out of 10. I think it's a good movie, but once again, not a great movie. I like the real practical look of the movie. I liked its film's messages. I like the film's villain. I like the adventure element in the whole Ninjago setting, but there's a lot of flat humor jokes. The side characters are very underdeveloped. The switch in tone, I think, is going to turn off a lot of viewers when it goes into the jungle scenes of this movie. The story really doesn't wrap itself up too well. It's very formulaic and predictable, and it does steal a lot of ideas from Power Rangers. So 8 out of 10 for me. It's a good movie. I recommend it, but go in with caution knowing that there is a couple of flaws with this movie.